Hi guys, Rebecca here. How is everybody doing today? Today I decided to make a video on the movies versus books of the How to Train Your Dragon series by Cressida Cowell. Now, I just want to preface this video. This is a series of 12 books, and you don't have to read them in any particular order, but I would personally recommend reading them in order because obviously things will just make sense. And so without further ado, let's fly to Berk. Okay, so the first book in the series, of course, is How to Train Your Dragon. Of course. Sorry, the lighting in my room is a bit of a jerk. The second book in the series is How to Be a Pirate. The third book in the series is How to Speak Dragonese. The fourth book in the series is How to Cheat a Dragon's Curse. Fifth book, How to Twist a Dragon's Tail. Book 6 is A Hero's Guide to Deadly Dragons. 7, How to Ride a Dragon Storm. Book 8, How to Break a Dragon's Heart. Book 9, How to Steal a Dragon's Sword. Book 10, How to Seize a Dragon's Jewel. Book 11, How to Betray a Dragon's Hero. And last but not least, we have How to Fight a Dragon's Fury. So, and throughout the course of this video, you will be seeing me post side-by-side images of the characters, and also I will show you the similarities and the differences between the movies and the books. So don't worry, I will make sure everything is perfectly in check. So yeah, well, let's get started. So the first book opens up with Hiccup, Fishlegs, and Snotlout as they are preparing for the initiation day, where they're to catch a dragon that will be their hunting dragon in preparation for their initiation day for the Thursday celebration. And they have to catch and train a dragon, otherwise they are not allowed to be part of the Hairy Hooligan tribe of Berk. As Gobber says in chapter 1, page 9, I suggest that you spend a large time choosing your dragon. It is important to get one the correct size. This will be the dragon that hunts fish for you and pulls down deer for you. You will catch the dragon that will carry you to battle later on, when you are much older and a warrior of the tribe. Anyone who fails this task will be put into immediate exile. The Hairy Hooligan tribe has no use for failures. Only the strong can belong. After they catch their dragons, on chapter 3, page 36 through, Gobber also says, your next task is to train the dragon yourself. This will be a test of the force of your personality. You will assert your will over the wild creature and sign who is master. If worried about the dragon process, you should study a book called How to Train Your Dragon by Professor Yabish, which you will find in the fireplace of the Grand Hall. If you prove that you have trained your dragon to the satisfaction of myself and the elders of the tribe, you can finally call yourself a hooligan of Berk. Which, after everyone collects theirs, Hiccup finds a common or garden dragon similar to the movies of what we would see as a terrible terror, with no teeth. So of course this is toothless. I am sorry that I just crushed a lot of people, and it's sad that he is not a Night Fury in the books. But later on in the series, you will also get to see his riding dragon named Windwalker. So when Hiccup and Fishlegs go to the Great Hall to find the book, they find that it says, the golden rule of dragon training is to simply yell at it. The louder, the better.
Prepare to be written! I'm doing it! I'm doing it! Yeah! Yeah! Can some of these? Can some of see how it looks so far.
Yeah, that's a massive disappointment, especially when you're expecting a book to be this long. And when you just open it up and all you used to say, the only way you can best train your dragon is to yell at it.
And what are you supposed to be, a disappointment?
So the rest of the series, it just goes with Hiccup trying to train Toothless, and just so you guys know, Toothless in this book is a complete asshole. And during the initiation test, while Hiccup, Toothless, and the rest of the other Vikings and their hunting dragons are testing their obedience and their ability to catch fish, Snotlout called Toothless a newt with wings, which triggers Toothless, but Hiccup was able to resolve the conflict quickly. However, Snotlout's hunting dragon, Fireworm, calls Toothless a snob, which results in a dragon fight, which ultimately Hiccup's father decides to exile all of the Viking boys. However, he did allow the children one more night of shelter due to the severe weather that was going around the island. But when Gobber and the morning of when the boys went into exile, Stoic receives word of a potential dragon that is sitting on the Long Beach, which is the island closest to Berk. This will be said as the Green Death, or the Red Death in the movies. So while Gobber and Stoic are trying to find their strategies on how to defeat the Green Death, on whether he's coming in peace or for war, they need to find someone who can speak Dragonese, which is actually forbidden by Stoic, which turns out that Hiccup knows how to speak Dragonese, and if he can defeat the Red Death, he, and as well as the other Viking boys that were failing the initiation test for the day before, will no longer be banished from the island. And the rest of the book goes with Toothless and Hiccup defeating the Green Death, and saving the day. And in the movie, after Hiccup fights the Red Death, he loses his foot. And I just want to make it clear that in the book series, Hiccup does not lose any body part whatsoever. But it's a good relic to point out. And so throughout the rest of the book series, from books 2 to 12, we follow Hiccup as he continues to come of age and learn the necessary tools he needs to become a Viking hero. Beginning in book 2, we meet our first antagonist named Alvin the Treacherous. When Hiccup discovers a coffin of his great-great-grandfather, Grimbeard the Ghastly, which contains the body of Alvin the Treacherous. And then the rest of the series consists of him finding these items of Grimbeard the Ghastly. Whoever collects all these items and goes to the island of Tomorrow will become the king of the Wilder West. And also negotiate with the Dragon Furious on ending the war that could mean the end of humans or dragons. The items that Hiccup has to collect throughout the book series is a Fang-Free Dragon, which is Toothless in book 1, a second best sword, which he collects in the second book, a Roman shield in book 3, book 5, a Heartstone. In book 8, he collects the key that opens any lock, the ticking thing / compass, which was initially found in book 4 and is also mentioned in book 7, the throne in book 8, book 9 he finds the crown, and book 10 he finds the dragon's jewel. And it's also important to note that in the book series, Hiccup is also left-handed and is really good at sword fighting. Well, for him being left-handed, that explains a lot, knowing that one episode of Race to the Edge when he literally punched the heck out of Snotlout.
Oh, ow! I'm not gonna fight you, Snotlout! You see that? The future chief is a coward! You heard me! Come on, hit me!
You know you want to.
Fine, but remember, you wanted this.
it's also important to announce that Snotlout dies in book 11 and is also Hiccup's cousin. While the DreamWorks franchise was initially inspired by Cressida Cowell's book series, there are still a lot of similarities that appear. Like, even in the books, Hiccup is very sarcastic. Setting, it takes place in Isle of Berk. You still have the same characters like Stoic, Gobber, Fishlegs, Hiccup, Hookfang. Although in this book, it's one of Stoic's hunting dragons, and it's not for Snotlout whatsoever. And it does take place on the Isle of Berk. The dragon species are still the same, like Deadly Natter, Monstrous Nightmare, Gronkle. And on top of it, and also with the differences in the books, there is a character that we meet in book 3 named Kamikaze, but in the movies, her name is Astrid. Yes, we meet Astrid in book 3. And her Kamikaze's hunting dragon is named Stormfly, and she is a moo dragon and not a Deadly Natter. The best way I would describe Alvin the Treacherous, I would say he's like Vigo in Race to the Edge, or maybe even a mix of Drago or Grimmel. Yes, and there's no character named Heather like from the TV show, and there's no really the twins like Rough Nut or Tough Nut, unfortunately. That would have made it even better, but there's not. Although in the book series there is a Viking named Tough Nut, however, like, it doesn't really go into detail about that whatsoever. When we understand the setting of Berk, we're obviously brought up from this quote in book 1, chapter 3, page 37. You don't really walk on the Isle of Berk. You wade through heather or bracken, or mud or snow, while clung to your legs and made them difficult to lift. It's the sort of country where the sea and the land were always falling into one another and getting mixed up. The island shot through with holes burrowed by water, a maze of crisscrossing underground streams. You could put your foot on a solid piece of grass and finding yourself disappearing on to your thigh in sticky mud. You could be making your way through the fern and suddenly find yourself fording a river waist high and icy cold. That's kind of similar in the movies in the beginning of the first film when Hiccup is literally describing Berk.
It's 12 days north of Hopeless and a few degrees south of freezing to death. It's located solidly on the meridian of misery. My village. In a word, sturdy. And it's been here for 7 generations, but every single building is new. We have fishing, hunting, and a charming view of the sunsets. The only problems are the pests.
Like most places have mice and mosquitoes, they have dragons, which turns into pets. Which snows 9 months out of the year and hails the other 3. And also throughout the series, one of the things that I really like is how Cressida Cowell also puts down the statistics of each individual dragon that we come across as the story continues to progress, and also provides readers with more information about how powerful the dragons are. And that does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment down below telling me which HTTYD movie is your favorite, and also make sure to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye guys!